And I kind of wanted to start with Christian McCaffrey. There's some news coming out about the 49ers potentially putting McCaffrey on some kind of pitch count. But as it pertains to fantasy football or underdog fantasy, is Christian McCaffrey someone that should be drafted as high as he's going, right? The 49ers are coming out and saying like, people think he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard rusher. And I definitely can see a scenario where that happens. But I remember watching the games last year, and it felt like when Elijah Mitchell was healthy, right, and that was the other back they could count on, they actually didn't utilize CMC as much in the run game as possible. Again, when Elijah Mitchell was healthy. Now, when Mitchell wasn't out there, he's like, all right, we're going to ride Christian McCaffrey. But do you see there potentially being some kind of split between the guys where maybe Caffrey they're like, we're really going to kind of try to preserve you for the playoffs. You'll do good. You'll have numbers, but maybe not to the extent of what fantasy owners are expecting.
I think that's a lot to do about nothing. To be totally honest with you, listen, this guy's getting paid a lot of money. Two, we saw the offense take an extreme upward trajectory when he entered the lineup last year, right? I think it's cool for Kyle to say that until he needs Christian McCaffrey to make plays for him in the fourth quarter of a game. It always sounds good, right? Because that's the NFL. Like, we would love to get all of our best players some rest throughout the duration of a game, right? Because we don't want to run them into the ground. But I think his presence alone on the field holds weight. And I also just don't his numbers are just so pedestrian to where he's not like a top 5-6 guy. To be totally honest, I mean, he's going to be a huge piece of the passing game. And obviously, you've seen the way that Kyle has gone about with this offense. It's point guard. It's get the ball out of your hands, get it into your playmakers' hands. Also, the screen game. I will say this, though. The one thing I do like about Elijah Mitchell is Elijah Mitchell's running style is perfect for salting a game away, which is what you saw. Remember last year, like, you let him get those physical carries towards the end of the game to just kind of salt the game's way because the offense was so good and putting up points. So I think they coincide very well together. I also think people take for granted how well Elijah understands the offense. He understands zone running along the lines of any running back that's been in the system. If we're being honest, it's just a matter of with him durability. I mean, he's missed games both years, but when he's in the lineup, he's been extremely effective behind this offensive line for real. No questions asked. So I get it. I don't think that he's overvalued, but I don't think that I think that people who are scared by Kyle's comments just hawk it back a little bit. I think they'll be just fine. To be totally honest with you, I think Christian McCaffrey, 20 touches, 20 to 23, around there, 23 a game. If he gets 23 touches a game, anywhere from 23 to and up, I don't see a scenario in which he's not effective. You know what I mean? He's going to catch Christian McCaffrey could catch 7-8 passes a game if you were the quarterback.
All right, so here, and so are you thinking of him being more so a like PPR guy as opposed to your kind of standard league, or do you think that doesn't matter?
I mean, he's the PPR god, man. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is the arguably the best PPR running back in the league. I mean, the other guys you would put in his class, I guess, would be like a Saquon who catches a lot of passes, but like McCaffrey is the show. Eckler obviously is the PPR god. He's not going to give you much between the tackles. I love the 4.5 receiving touchdowns for McCaffrey, but are they offering like a combo of rushing and receiving? Because see, that is where I would like if it's somewhere I would guess it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 15. You got a combination. I don't know.
No combination. They're trying to make you decide. Do you want McCaffrey's rushing total touchdowns? Do you want his receiving touchdowns? Do you want his rushing yards? Like there's because they pretty much have him right here at 12 touchdowns. So they're not saying, do you think he's going to have more than 12? It's like you got to be specific. Do you think he's going to have more than 7 rushing touchdowns or less than 7 rushing touchdowns?
I like the over 599.5 receiving yards. Right? I mean, yeah, I love that simply because that would equate to like 40 receiving yards a game, like 50, like 16, 18 times 50 is 900. So 18 times 40 or 17 times 40 is 17 is 34.
I can't pull out the calculator.
Yeah, so it's around 40 yards a game receiving. You know, that is extremely attainable no matter who the quarterback is. And I think that's my number one thing is like with him is, bro, we know he's going to get the targets, whether it's by design or whether he gets dump offs or check downs. He's going to be a huge part of the offense regardless. Like I said, whether it's handing the ball off or getting a bunch of check downs. So yeah, 17 games. Yeah. 17 times 3 is 51. So yeah, it's close to 40 yards a game receiving. You got to think he'll probably have 5 games where if he has 5 games where he goes over 50, you know, you're well on your way there. You know, which is like, again, when you're getting 7-8 targets minimum a game, I don't see a world in which he doesn't eclipse 600 receiving yards barring injury. Obviously,
it is 35. That's 35 yards a game.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, for this on a season, 599.5 seems absolutely, yes, like close to 40. I know it was in that ballpark. I was trying to do it quick for y'all, man. My bad. You know what I mean? I'm trying
there's a lot of people that really love his 900 rushing yard total. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's definitely attainable, but again, I can see situations in maybe 5 or 6 games where the Niners are up late in games and they decide to go to Elijah Mitchell to ice the game, knowing that, you know, they're not going to, you know what I mean? You saw it last year. They did it last year with him. Like when Elijah Mitchell came back, they gave Elijah Mitchell all those crazy physical handoffs at the end of games. Yeah. I mean, go look it up. Like when Elijah Mitchell came back, all the hard running to salt games away when we were up winning, he was getting fucked up.